Looking back on my life, I was like a possum in the headlights. Time was frozen and I was standing still. I think it all really hit me when I was about 16, when my father passed away.
Okay.
I felt like I was not moving and I was stuck in life. And even though I felt stuck, my mind was reeling and it was uncontrollable. There was lots of chatter in my head and it was all quite negative. I can't do that, I can't do this, life is too hard, things aren't going to go your way, things are always going to end in disaster. No, I definitely had periods where the thoughts would relax and I would feel normal. I would feel like life was just going on and I was just doing my daily motions and things were going fine. But then these thoughts would come back. I was admitted to the public mental health system. I went there first when I was 20, when I had a breakdown. They gave me a lot of medication and sedated me for a long time. I wasn't myself. I just felt like a zombie, just walking around, doing the daily motions, getting through the day. But I found that there was no consistency. The doctors always changed, the counsellors always changed. There was no one that I really felt cared, and it was always changing as well. The medication would always change, the type of counselling would always change. Nothing was consistent. So my mum was really worried because she was seeing a Sam that wasn't consistent. I was going through the daily motions, but nothing was consistent. I was either working all day and then up all night, or partying all night and sleeping all day. I was either here, there, or everywhere, a complete social butterfly in the party scene, or hiding away in bed, scared of the world. So one day I was this happy, almost crazy person, and the next day I was very withdrawn and sad and scared. So my mum was very concerned because she couldn't realise who I was, and myself as well. I couldn't pinpoint what exactly was wrong with me because I was a different person every day. And when I was 20, the doctors, they saw these episodes of mania and these episodes of depression, and they said that perhaps I was bipolar. So I was put on medication for that and was on that for a number of years. It helped, it leveled me out, but I would still life wasn't consistent. One day I could be bright and sparkly and creative and who I think I actually am, and the next day I'd be terrified of the world and scared of seeing people. The main thing is I felt alone. I felt like I was isolated from not just people but the world. And looking back, I know that I had so many people around me. I had a beautiful family, friends, teachers, colleagues, but I wouldn't let them in. I think I was so used to having this wall up that I just wanted to go ahead on my own willpower, and I didn't want to let these people in to help me. But yeah, the main thing was just feeling so lonely, like I was this little girl and the world was just moving forward and I was stuck. I was miserable. I was terrified. I was not living. I was just going straight, not with any kind of love or empathy or just a dull person, and I knew I needed help. So one day Mum sat me down and she showed me her iPad, and it had the Capri website on there, and she said, "Do you want to go here?" And I'd felt like I exhausted all my options. The public health team weren't helping me any longer. I couldn't get well by myself, I knew that. So Mum picked up the phone and I felt hope then. I felt that finally I might go somewhere where I could be treated. I looked at the website and I saw that they treated depression, because I knew that I had depression. I didn't have any idea about anxiety at the time. I didn't know what anxiety was, and I didn't realize that I was suffering from it. But I saw that they treated depression, and I thought that perhaps they could help me. I'll never forget that first day. I came in, I was petrified, I was scared. I had no expectations. I didn't know what to expect, but what I saw was happy people. I saw people laughing and talking and getting on with their day. And at that point I thought, how could I relate to these people? They don't seem to have any problems. They're just getting on with their day and moving forward, and I was stuck. But I was whisked away to my first meeting with my case manager, Brent, and he always reminds me of how I was sitting in his office in the fetal position in a chair, not wanting to say anything, but he always tells me how it was so obvious that I needed to speak, I just didn't know how. And he was so calm, and there was time. It wasn't rushed like the public health system. There was lots of time for me to be quiet and just have time to express myself. I came away from that meeting really confused, because for the first time in my life I felt like someone genuinely cared, and they weren't just wanting to put medication down my throat. They were actually wanting me to talk through the motions. I spent the first couple of days at Capri isolating myself, not talking, only participating when I had to. But I don't know what it was, but something came over me and I realised that I was actually in the right place, and that perhaps these people in this program could help me. So I started listening, I started contributing, I started telling my story, but the most important thing is that I found that people were telling me my own story through their mouths. There were other people in the treatment facility that had depression, and we talked and I could relate, and for the first time I didn't feel alone. I see my time at Capri as more of an education rather than a treatment. I literally felt like I was unscrewing my skull, having knowledge shaken into my brain, and then it re-stitched up, and it was like I'd retrained my brain into how to live. My thoughts became, slowly but surely, they became more positive. I gained a new lease on life, and I think that was through both the education but also the community of Capri and the people there to support me. I became excited about life, and I saw it as less of a struggle than more of a journey. I left Capri. It was a hard transition. I was so used to having this community of people around me, and I knew that going home would be difficult because I'd be left with my own thoughts again. Yeah, so I left Capri, and I knew that I could always come back. that was such a positive part of my recovery, because I knew that I could always walk in those doors and feel loved. I came back in for the outpatient program. Every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, Brent held a mental health group or emotional wellness group, where we talked about our week and our day and how things were for us in that very moment. And that really kept me on track, because I was responsible to someone. I was able to talk freely about my emotions and how I was feeling and how I was dealing with the real world. I had a lot of support. We set up a text group, and there were a few of us that would text each other every morning, morning meditations and positive affirmations. And I would talk quite regularly with other clients. We would meet up for coffee or just go for a walk around the basin, and we would just keep each other in check. So down the track, I was doing really well. I was coming into Capri nearly every day, and I was really positive. I was helping around the house. I was doing normal things. I started volunteering at a school, which was really, really cool, because it got me back out into the community and made me feel like I had a purpose. Life was really good. I decided to move out and get my own place. I then decided that I was ready to enter the workforce again, so I got a full-time job. In hindsight, I went too fast. I took on too much. I put huge expectations for myself out there, and I fell over. The suicidal thoughts came back. They consumed me. So the difference this time is that I knew where to get help. I knew that I couldn't action these thoughts because there was such a great life in front of me. So I came into Capri, broken again, but I had hope. I knew that I'd be able to get the help that I needed again. So I talked to my case manager, and we put in place a plan for another 2-week stay. And this time I went straight into it. I didn't isolate this time. I didn't not talk. I opened up, and I felt like I could really be true to myself, because I had tried so hard in recovery, but something didn't work, and it was only myself that didn't work. It was my thoughts and my expectations on life. So I did the 2-week stay, and I fully embraced life again, and I realised that this time it was a simple life for me. Not too many expectations, and living day to day, living in the moment. Of course I have dreams and goals and aspirations, but to keep myself grounded, I live in the moment and just take things day by day. I'm the type of person that needs routine and purpose, so I did get myself another job, but this time it was one where I was part of a team and we were all responsible for the job rather than myself being entirely responsible. I planned my days. I made sure that every night before I went to bed, I knew what I was going to do the next day. I knew what time I was going to wake up. I knew when I was going to go to work and what I was going to do afterwards. And I just left myself open for things to come at me rather than trying to find them. Even telling my story now is something that I've always wanted to do. When I was sick, I always wanted I wanted to tell my story so that I could help people, but back then there was no way I could help because I hadn't got the help myself. But this time I feel like I have the tools and the knowledge to help myself and to help others. And I've been doing the volunteer program at Capri, and I feel like every time I volunteer, someone gets a little bit of my knowledge, and I tell a little bit of my story and they can relate to it and feel better. I'd like people to know that even in the depths of depression, when you feel so alone, there are people that care, and there is a way out. Got to believe that you can do it for yourself. And know that you have the power within yourself to get through